Well, hello, welcome again. I'm just reading through some of the very beautiful poems of Sappho, just to explain some of the dialect forms, so that you can read it at your leisure and look at some of the commentaries and various papers written on these beautiful poems. This particular poem falls into three sections. It begins with a priamel, and then we have a reference to Helen, and finally the poetess's desire for Anaktoria. And then it's a kind of ring poem, so at the very end, the final stanza that we have, that relates back to the very beginning. Unfortunately, we have a lacuna in the middle, and you can see from the brackets and things, scholars have had to try and fill in some of the gaps in the manuscript. So it begins with this lovely priamel, oi men hepeon, stroton hoi de pesdon, hoi de naon phi sepigan melainan, emenai caliston, ego de cain otto tis eratai. And the whole priamel builds up to, we get to the very last word here, eratai, which is very emphatic. So it begins here, oi for hoi, we get hoi men and hoi de, and another hoi de here. The main verb here is phais. Now this is phais for phasi. It would be in, perhaps in Homeric Greek, phi alpha sigma iota. This is just a dialect form here. So some say that a stroton for straton, we've seen before the alpha becoming an omicron. So some say that it is an army hippeon of horsemen, and others understand an army of foot soldiers, this sigma delta for zeta, so this is pesdon. So some say an army of horsemen, some an army of foot soldiers, and some of ships. Emenai, we've seen that before, for anai, that's the infinitive of the verb to be the most beautiful thing upon the black earth. Black in the sense of very fertile. Ego de, and then we get the contrast here, ego de cain otto. Now cain otto here, the cain is for ekaino, the demonstrative, eta for epsilon iota, and an omicron elided, and the otto, the o of course is the genitive, so this is hotu in Attic, so that thing whatever it might be. So although a person is intended as the object of love, the use of the neuter here leaves open the sex of the beloved, which is very clever. But I understand, say, it is that thing, whatever it might be, whom someone loves, someone is in love with. So just to go through that bit again then. So some say that it is an army of horsemen or an army of foot soldiers or of ships that is to be the most beautiful thing on the black earth. But I say it is that thing, whatever it might be, that someone loves. Second stanza continues on Panku Jumares Suneton Poesai Pantitut. Now I've got to supply the verb to be here, and poesai, you should probably guess, is poiesai. This is an adverb, eumares, meaning easy. So eumares is easy, this is easily. With the verb to be. So it is easy to make this thing, suneton, adjective connected with sun hiemi, to understand, and the panku is very. So it is very easy to make this understood by everyone, to anyone, panti, to each person. Aga polu pers kethoisa. Now this is a very tricky participle here. We've seen before the oi for oo, so it's a feminine participle. The per for peri, and the sketh, normally you would see it with a chi here rather than a kappa. It's been deaspirated in this dialect. And you may have seen that sketh root in various Homeric forms. It's a version of echo, connected with echo. So this in fact is a feminine participle from peri-echo, which is a bit tricky. So, and the R for hair goes with Helen. For Helen, surpassing in respect of beauty, I've got an internal accusative here, in respect of beauty, surpassing all mankind, I think, for anthropone. So for Helen, surpassing in respect of her beauty very much all of mankind. Now we get another participle down here. So this is kalipois, the oi for oo. The kal here is for kata, so this is from katalapo. It's a aorist participle, strong aorist participle from katalapo. So having left her husband, the one who is pan ariston, who is the best of all. This word occurs in Hesiod. Eba for Ebe, she went into Troy, and she went pleusa, another participle from pleo, to sail. So she went sailing off into Troy. Ko ude for kai and ude. And neither. Now the main verb here is emnaste, and this is again from connected with mimnami, to give a thought for. Pumpan with the ook here, or the ood here, meaning not at all, by no means. So she gave a thought, or she gave no thought at all, for her paidos, for her child, perhaps her daughter in fact, but her child, nor for her dear parents. But, and then unfortunately the manuscript breaks off here. We've got par agage autan. So this is, we don't know what the subject is. It's been suggested that it's Kupris, another name for Aphrodite, is the subject of this. So it would be Aphrodite or Kupris led her away. Now if that's the case, then this is an interesting example of where Helen is presented as not really responsible for her own actions, that she was led astray by the goddess, but unfortunately we don't have the subject here. So just to put this bit together then, so for Helen, the one who surpassed all mankind, Polu very much in respect of her beauty, having left her husband, who was the best of all, she went sailing into Troy, and she gave no thought at all for her child, nor for her dear parents, but somebody led her away. Unfortunately, we get a break in the manuscript here, and it's hard to make much sense out of this here. I mean, Kufos is just lightly or something. That we can try and pick it up here. The onemnice here is the ot for alpha. So this would have been an, probably for Anna. So it's anemnese. It would be in Attic, and it's from anamimnesco, to remember. And it's a participle again. So but now remembering Anaktoria. This is a girl, I think she is mentioned in other poems of Sappho, but remembering Anaktoria, the one who is not present. So this is a genitive here, this is ace, so it's genitive after verbs of remembering. So remembering now Anaktoria, who is not present. Pariois sas for ses. And we have, at the end here, we have another stanza here, which sort of brings us back to a cycle fashion, back in that sort of ring cycle fashion, back to the ideas at the beginning. Tas ke boilerman eratan te bama. Now, Boloiman, this is connected with, this is the dialect form from Bulamai, so this would be Buloimain in other poetry. To wish, and with ke, it's an octative with ke. We get Idain for epsilon iota, that's the infinitive. So I would wish to see her beautiful Bama, well, this is gait, it's the way she walks, the beautiful way she walks. It's very rare, it's not in Homer. So I would wish to see the beautiful way she walks, and tas for taste of her. So I would prefer to see her beautiful gait. Now the kai here, this is kai plus amarugma, which is a fairly rare word. It turns up in Theocritus, but it means sparkle or the brightness, and the shining brightness, proso po for poo, genitive here, of her face. So I would prefer to see the beautiful gait of her and the bright twinkling or sparkling of her face than, understand, to see, ta armata for harmata, the chariots of the Lydians, and the pesdomakentas. This is a participle from pesdomachio, to fight on, as a foot soldier, to fight on land. You've got to supply andras here or something. Then men who were fighting perhaps foot soldiers here, and this is en hoploisi in their armour. So putting that last stanza, which brings us back in thought to the beginning. The beginning of the poem was all about, some say, army of horsemen and foot soldiers and so on is the best thing. Interestingly, that's a very masculine way of beginning. Men would say that sort of thing, but she says it is all about love. And this brings us back then to the first stanza. So just to finish it off here, so I would rather see the beautiful gait of her, and to see her the bright sparkling of her face, than, understand, to see the chariots of the Lydians and men who are foot soldiers in their armour. And that's the end of this rather beautiful poem.